everybody. My name's Tom Stoukas. Welcome to Daily Recall. Today, March 2nd, 2025, from Sarnia, Ontario. Well, as we're still looking at the Ukraine thing as the hottest story, it looks like. It's moving very fast, very fast. Developments, like, they're going to be like decades from now. This will be like one of the key periods of time for whatever new order emerges from this craziness. So yesterday we were saying how the Europeans were holding an emergency defense meeting. Now they're talking about not only like continuing military support for the war and economic support and like basically full support for Zelensky, but now they're talking about sending their own troops, like Keir Starmer from the UK. Just floating that idea, and Macron has floated it in the past, and he probably will again. And then you got Elon Musk saying how the states should leave UN and NATO. Like this is crazy. Like, we're talking about decades long institutions being just like assailed. It's, things change. It's just a matter of how they're going to change and what they're going to change into. That we're wondering what's happening. We're wondering what's going to happen. So, of course, our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, was up in UK with the emergency meeting with a few other Prime Ministers of Europe. Yeah, and they want to keep the war going. So, from a Canadian perspective, you have the Canadian Prime Minister going there and basically siding with Zelensky in this dispute. In this dispute between Zelensky and Trump, right at the same time that Trump is ready to start a trade war with us. Okay. So basically Trudeau's going all in with Zelensky in Ukraine and the Europeans against Trump. So probably not a good strategy. And especially a strategy from a guy. Sorry guys, I'm having a little technical problems here. From a guy who is like set to be leave office in a week. Like, these are major, huge, consequential things going on, and this guy's gonna be gone in a week. He's acting like he's making all these huge decisions. Next thing you know, he'll be committing Canadian troops. I don't think he will, because I don't think we have any available, but maybe even a few. So, yeah, things are moving quick. Hold on. Like, if you would have said, like, last week that Trump and Zelensky would have a blowout in the Oval Office, and then the Europeans are ready to send their ground troops to Ukraine to keep the war going, I would have thought that would be a little far-fetched, but here we are. It happened. It's crazy. So that's the top story. UK pledges troops and planes to Ukraine amid NATO summit. Like, what the hell, man? That's crazy. So we got the tariffs happening. Supposedly Tuesday, the initial round of tariffs, U.S. tariffs on Canadian goods. And Trump is actually giving a very important speech Tuesday to a joint session of Congress. So you're definitely going to get a lot of insight into what his next move may be with the speech. He's got a lot to talk about. He's got the tariff issue with China, Mexico, Canada, and possibly Europe, and then he's got and other countries. And he's got the Ukraine question, and it'll be interesting to see what he says on the Middle East too. So that'll be a very highly anticipated speech, and who knows what he'll say about us, because Trudeau and not just Trudeau, but all our politicians are getting into this combative stance with him. If they want to, we'll see if they're right. I don't know if they're right or wrong. I don't think they're right, but like they're really, not only are they at odds with him on the trade policy, our leaders, but they're diametrically opposed to him on the Ukraine issue. So that's two very important issues that we're opposed to Donald Trump on. So our politicians are bringing us down a primrose path, like John Mearsheimer would say. In Canada, we might be the next Ukraine. Jeez. So, this crazy. UK pledges troops and planes to Ukraine amid NATO summit. During a summit in London, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced a readiness to enhance military support to Ukraine, including the possibility of deploying troops and aircraft. So, like, it's not like they're sending troops over tomorrow, but the way they talk is it's like trial balloons kind of thing. It's in the cards. I don't know if it's a negotiating tactic with the Russians and the U.S. I don't know. Like I said, tomorrow's Monday, so Tuesday we should have that speech. Should be lots of stuff to gauge where it's going. What's going on here? Hold on. Alright, I had a loose wire, sorry. I still do. God. Wow. Alright, let's see if that works. Now it froze. Hold on. I'm gonna buy a new one of these damn wires. Now I got a purple screen, god damn. How the hell do I have a purple screen? Alright. Sorry about that. Anyway, this is the summit in a nutshell. Europe at crossroads. Commitment to Ukraine's defense and peace. At a pivotal London summit, European leaders, including UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, have committed to bolstering Ukraine's defenses and negotiating peace. Starmer highlighted the significance of this crossroads in history, discussing increased military support, financial aid, and potential peacekeeper deployments. I guarantee we're going to get suckered into this too. Trudeau's probably already signed us up for this. Long-term support for Ukraine against the backdrop of European. So who knows what any of this means? It could be just negotiating tactics, or it could be them who knows what they're up to. But it's really opposed to what they're really trying to kind of take back some of the bargaining power from Trump. I don't know. But Zelensky seems pretty comfortable with his European buddies. He's going to become more unpopular in the States. It's going to be crazy. Like, because they're going to make him look like a great money taker. All right. So that's the big thing on the day. So let's start the day. As today, the second day in a row, my Twitter feed's full of Ukraine, because there's really big stuff here. Big stuff. Huge stuff going on right now. So today's going to be Ukraine, all Ukraine. And maybe a dash of Romania. Holy, I did a lot of tweeting today. Wow, did a lot of tweeting. Anyway, here's a story. Zelensky ran to his boyfriend there in England after he got abused by the other one, the mean guy. And look at them. They're hugging. I thought I was going to give him a kiss for a second.
Keir Starmer putting his hand on President... more than you would have got. There we have President Zelensky and Keir Starmer exiting number 10.
They wanted to show how much friendlier this meeting was compared to Trump.
A relaxed
I thought they were going to kiss each other.
The car. Keir Starmer going all the way to the presidential vehicle. An embrace once more. Keir Starmer putting his hand on President Zelensky's back. Physical, but so different in the way that yesterday's meeting had awkward body language. Today, the warmest of body language. Keir Starmer standing as he watches President Zelensky get in the car, just out of shot. The motorcycle outriders readying for the presidential motorcade to be whisked off onto Whitehall. But
like Cinderella.
Keir Starmer standing right to the final moment of President Zelensky's departure. The wheels are turning.
Prince Charming and Cinderella.
Keir Starmer striding back towards Downing Street as the motorcade goes out. Did you make any progress, Keir Starmer?
Prime Minister, will you cancel the state visit with President Trump? Did you make any progress? Here's what happens when you...
Next one. Next post. Thomas Massey. One of my favorite politicians, if there is any. NATO is a Cold War relic that should be relegated to a talking kiosk at the Smithsonian. Get us out of NATO. I lived in Greece for many years, 4 years, not many years, 4 years. And the whole time, it was very, on the street level, it was very kind of anti-NATO, the young people. So I never thought the U.S. would be the first one to seriously want out of NATO ahead of Greece, but here we are. I guarantee you something's up with the U.S. and NATO. Maybe it's just a negotiating tactic to get them to spend more, the Europeans to spend more on weapons, but on defense, I guess. So Thomas Massey obviously is in support of U.S. leaving NATO. Elon Musk is in support of U.S. leaving NATO. So this is a huge policy shift. U.S. officials would never have uttered these words before, like not too long ago. And there's Mr. Zelensky with Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum. Whenever you meet your real boss, you always wear a suit. Okay. Now, to be fair, this was before the war, but he does have a suit, I guess. And here we are, Romania, which is right next to Ukraine. Something's weird's going on there. The NATO wants to put a huge base there, or expand whatever existing bases there. This guy won the president's, or he was leading in the president's election, and they canceled the election because they said he was a Russian plant. And they keep harassing him, and apparently there's this big protest, and it's supporting him from government harassment and throwing him in jail. So that'll be an interesting look at a lot of people there. Be a lot of because it's where it is located right there. Very big. Which direction Romania will go. Next post. Yeah, I like all these Baltic politicians. Like, she's from Estonia, Kaja Kallas. She's always talking about fighting Russia. Like, her country literally is the size of Philadelphia. It's like, why, they like to spout off to Russia because they think the U.S. is going to have their back, okay? That's not cool. It's like little chihuahuas there. Like COVID, next post. Like COVID, the world is divided along the lines of A, gullible fucking idiots that believe everything they're told without question. B, normal people think it's all total bullshit. Same teams. So COVID, it's basically the same sides. For the most part. Either you're for the COVID mandates and you're for the war against Russia, or you're against both. So, yeah, same teams. Next post, Simon Goddick. Wars aren't started by politicians. They're started by intelligence agencies, defense contractors, and global financiers who profit from endless conflict. Vietnam War, Gulf of Tonkin incident was fabricated to escalate U.S. involvement. Iraq War, deep state manipulated evidence about WMDs to justify an invasion. Kosovo War, West exaggerated and fabricated genocide claims to justify NATO bombings. Libya, Gaddafi overthrown based on false claims of impending massacres leading to a failed state and open-air slave markets. Ukraine, a CIA-backed coup in 2014 set the stage for a bloody proxy war against Russia. War machine never stops because peace is bad for business. And that's exactly why the establishment hates Trump. They call him a threat to world peace when in reality he's the opposite. I mean, he was president for 4 years, and it wasn't wars all over the place. So it does have a record. But it is a racket. It's all about making money. War is a racket. Whoever says otherwise is lying to you. That's whenever you see stuff trying to convince you that the war is good, just remember, a lot of money, and you're not. Someone's making a lot of money on it. Next post. As Canada moves into a possible election season and every single party leader wants to throw it all in with Ukraine, they all are. It's crazy. I'll remind everyone, every single one of those gave a standing applause to a Nazi in the House of Commons just a year and a half ago. Yeah. They're kind of clueless. The last people we need leading us into a war against Russia. Unnecessary war against Russia. These are the last people. The last people that should be leading us into an unnecessary war with Russia. Okay. Okay.
Still
Jeffrey
far
Sachs.
from the border. So the
We
next
saw a lot
round of NATO enlargement came in 2004 with the 3 Baltic states, Romania, Bulgaria, Slovenia, and Slovakia. At this point, Russia was pretty damn upset. So as everybody recalls, in 2007, President Putin said, stop. Enough. And of course, what that meant was in 2008, the United States jammed down Europe's throat enlargement of NATO to Ukraine and to Georgia. This is right up against Russia. And Russia protested because if Russia decided to have a military base on the Rio Grande or the Canadian border, not only would the United States freak out, we'd have war within about 10 minutes. And a month later, a war broke out. That gets Georgia destroyed. And starting in 2010, the U.S. put in Aegis missile systems in Poland and then in Romania. And Russia doesn't like that. In 2010, Viktor Yanukovych was elected on the platform of neutrality. Russia had no territorial interests or designs in Ukraine at all. What Russia was negotiating was a 25-year lease for Sevastopol Naval Base. That's it. Not for Crimea, not for the Donbass, nothing. In 2014, the U.S. worked actively to overthrow Yanukovych. Everybody knows the phone call by my Columbia University colleague, Victoria Nuland, and the U.S. Ambassador Peter Piot. Listen to it. It's fascinating.
I don't think Cleach should go into the government. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's a good idea. I think Yats is the guy who's got the economic experience, the governing experience, and, fuck the EU.
No, exactly. And I think we've got to do something to make...
You don't get better evidence. Then came Minsk, and especially Minsk II. It said there should be autonomy for the Russian-speaking regions in the east of Ukraine. It was supported unanimously by the UN Security Council. The United States and Ukraine decided it was not to be enforced. There were many thousands of deaths in the shelling by Ukraine in the Donbass. And one of the issues on the table in December 2021, January 2022, was, does the United States claim the right to put missile systems in Ukraine? And Blinken told Lavrov in January 2022, the United States reserves the right to put missile systems wherever it wants. So the war started. What was Putin's intention in the war? It was to force Zelensky to negotiate neutrality. And that happened within 7 days of the start of the invasion. Ukraine walked away unilaterally from a near agreement. Why? Because the United States told them to. The idea was that there would be Ukraine, Romania, Bulgaria, Turkey, and Georgia that would deprive Russia of any international status by blocking the Black Sea. And the American senators, who are as nasty and cynical and corrupt as imaginable, say this is wonderful expenditure of our money because no Americans are dying. It's the pure proxy war. And since the U.S. talked the negotiators away from the table, about 1 million Ukrainians have died or been severely wounded.
So yeah, I was watching yesterday a lot of videos, historical videos on countless U.S. officials, senior U.S. officials, warning over the decades not to expand NATO to Russia through Ukraine. So that was just yet another example. And here are these guys, all these wankers in Times Square, protesting for to keep helping Ukraine fight the war. I don't see any of them. Let's see what they're saying. They should go fight if they're so worried about the war. That's the common theme today. I've seen a lot of people say that. You go fight. Nobody people that are against the war don't want to go. They don't want their kids to go. They don't want no wars. These guys, they're told on the TV to go support the war, then that's what they do. Next post. It's funny how Mark Carney It's funny how Mark Carney and Chrystia Freeland love bashing Americans and their culture to score points with champagne socialists in Canada, but seem to have no problem going on American talk shows at election time. Yes. So Mark Carney was on Daily Show. Chrystia Freeland was just on Bill Maher. Very cringy interview. Yeah, they don't go on any Canadian shows. I don't see them on Canadian shows. So I guess they're on the news shows. That's it. But it's weird. I guess they're trying to do some kind of charm offensive on the U.S. through the talk shows or something. All right, next post. I want to be very clear. A majority of Canadians do not support the war in Ukraine. Like, not even close. Trudeau keeps shouting Ukraine. It doesn't mean shit. Let me be very clear. As long as one Canadian suffers in Canada, not one more sent aid anywhere. So Ukraine is not our responsibility. So yeah, I believe a lot of Canadians think like this. Next post. We live in wild times when calling for peace gets you called a Russian stooge or bot, but it's better than being a retarded warmonger. I guess that's me, because I've been calling this for this war to end when it started, like the minute it started. And the thing hasn't changed. The argument hasn't changed. It's just people were so determined to fight Russia. Next post. Find someone who looks at you the way a boomer looks at a globalist out of touch commie liberal. Yeah, they love him. Look at him. They're like, he's going to make my house worth double with the money he prints. That's the look. My house is going to go up in value. When really it's just just the money is worth less, really. All right. But for her, it's great. All right. I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 elections left before they stop deciding the elections. One for sure, maybe 2. I don't think any more than 2. And then I said, boomers are gonna boom until they can't boom no more. Next post. And this was a common theme today about the anti-war people saying to the pro-war people, go fight. If you're so hot to fight, hot for this war to keep going, go fight yourself. So, I have excellent news for everyone aged 18 to 60 who's upset over what's happening in Ukraine. You can make a difference. So he's saying basically any non-Ukrainian citizen between 1860 without criminal history can join the army. If you have previous military service, it is preferred but not required. So yeah, head on over. I'm talking to you, Anthony Koch. All right. Next, Jimmy Dore, very good comic. He's been right on the Ukraine thing from the start. He's of the same mind. War shouldn't have started. It should have been stopped right away. So imagine the type of people who give a flying fuck about what's this blood-soaked psychopathic cretin thinks. So yeah, he's been in the news, John Bolton, because he's aghast at what happened to Zelensky in the Oval Office. So, notorious war hawk John Bolton is calling for Secretary of State Marco Rubio to resign after yesterday's Zelensky meeting. Look at him, eh? Oh, God. What an evil bastard. Talking bad or not, agreeing about Ukraine gets you pretty much the same reaction as when you spoke bad about or didn't agree with mass or the vax. I don't know what that means, sorry. I do know, but next post. People who were shouting Canada first just a few weeks ago are now screaming Slava Ukraini and have swapped out their Canadian flags for a Ukrainian flag. What is this? February 16th? Oh, God.
We will be with you every step of the way until victory.
Forever.
Slava Ukraini.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. That's disgusting. Yeah, he's over in London basically ready. I wouldn't be surprised if he puts the troops in Ukraine by the time he gets back. He's only got a week to go. Next post. Ian Bremmer from Eurasia, which employs a lot of prime ministers. Our possible future prime minister's wife, our present prime minister's best buddy, and a nice connected journalist from CBC. They all work happily together. And Ian Bremmer is aghast as well at what's going on. He says it's too late to avoid permanent damage to the U.S.-Europe alliance and the U.S.-led global order. Today's London summit should start with that reality in mind. So this is a hardcore globalist, Ian Bremmer. Seems like a nice guy. And he's like basically saying this is real change. It's something, we're in a new era of unwritten rules of global order. So this isn't just rhetoric. It's not just... It's a big deal, basically. And my point... I said to him, globalists are upset about this, but I am not. I'm not upset about the present situation changing. Didn't work. It don't look like it worked. Next post. Lara Logan again. Here are facts about Ukraine that would be common knowledge if the media was honest and did its jobs. So yeah, we go into history of Ukraine again, just like the videos. So basically, she's talking about like all the U.S. involvement over the years in Ukraine. Like this war didn't come out of nowhere because Putin's some evil dictator. That's the kind of story they're trying to push. They keep pushing it, and you know, people who don't have brain, they believe it. They believe what they're told, and there's so much context to this. Geopolitics 101, really. And there's Justin Trudeau, next post. I'm in London this morning working with President Zelensky, Prime Minister Starmer, and European leaders to bring about a just and lasting peace in Ukraine, one that guarantees Ukraine's sovereignty and security. So yeah, they're throwing a big wrench into Trump because the way they talk about, and Trump was trying to explain it in the Oval Office, is the way they talk about Putin. They call him names. They basically say they're going to steal all Russia's money to give to Ukraine for war reparations. They want to take Russia to war crimes court. All that, all Russia's going to say to that, if that was the U.S. line, if Biden was still president or Kamala, all we would have said, fine, I'll just keep bombing Ukraine. And that's what they're looking to do. Like, it's crazy. So my point is they're not gonna. They don't want to negotiate. Basically, they say they want all this stuff for Ukraine, and that's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. So, and they know that. So, it's crazy stuff. I don't know what's going to happen. It's very unpredictable. It's very quick. This is very quick for this stuff to unfold like it is. So I just said, is my usual response, just go away already. traitor. 1 week. We still 1 week with this dummy. But problem is we got a smarter guy coming. Things aren't going to go be all nice when Trudeau leaves. It'll be all right. We don't have to look at him and listen to him, but that's it. Nothing else will change. And there's the Ukraine we're defending. That's the Ukraine that Trudeau is defending. So they're dragging this poor guy. Holy. He's like, if he gets out of the car, he's done. He'll be dead in a week. Oh, smack on the head. Oh, poor guy. He's an older guy, too. Like, if they're getting desperate and pulling guys like him out of the car. So that's what Canada supports. I don't agree with that. There's lots of Ukrainian draft dodging today showing like how they're trying to get it the hell out of there. Doesn't sound like they support Zelensky or the globalists. And there's the other thing linking the COVID and the Ukraine conflict. Basically, mass psychosis. So question the COVID response, you're a COVIDiot. Question the Ukraine war, you're a Putin apologist. Question net zero, you're a climate change denier. Question COVID vaccine, you're an anti-vaxxer. These lazy gaslighting tropes are designed to shut down, smear, and undermine any questioning of the narrative. It is, really. I'm all those things, I guess. And that's going on a lot today. It's all connected. The Ukraine, COVID, tariffs, everything. It's all connected. Next post. A few weeks ago, Nenshi said he stood with Canada and not with Alberta. Now he stands with Ukraine. The man is a lunatic, unfit to hold any office in Alberta. He is. I don't think Alberta will elect him, but if he does get Premier of Alberta, oh my God. Where's Doug Ford? Does he stand with Ukraine? I don't know where Doug Ford is. Haven't seen heard a word from him. Okay, next post. Looks like Team Canada is done and moved on to their next virtue signaling project, Ukraine. I've now drawn the conclusion that there are too many brain-dead people in this country to salvage it. Yeah, it is unfortunate. Like mindless lemmings, they go on to one thing to the next. And I said fake Team Canada didn't last long. We all know who the real Team Canada is, okay? Let's not kid ourselves. I don't even have to say it, who the real Team Canada is. Whoever was on the right side of COVID, that's the real Team Canada. And there's the Canadian Team Canada emblem. I support the current thing. We got the mask, the Black Lives Matter, the Vax Pass, the Ukraine flag, the boosters, the trans movement. That's Canada. Might as well just make that might as well just replace the maple leaf with this. If they had their way, they would. All right. Pathetic. Yes, it is. They keep falling for the same. And there's more. Cut another post on Romania. I believe. Yes. Romania. That's crazy. Could you imagine if Romania went into Russia? Like signed a treaty with Russia? That would be nuts. We'll have to keep an eye on Romania. There's more video of people being held against their will for the front line. There's a thing about Trudeau. Not only won't go away, Not only won't go away, but he spent $1,500 a week on groceries. What the hell's he eating, man? To be honest though, I could spend $1,500 no problem. I'd be getting the nice steaks. $1,500 no problem if he bought like all the steaks. He's probably getting the steaks and putting them in his freezer. So when he's done next week, he's gonna have a whole freezer full of steak. I gotta write that down. Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. The best steak too, not the crappy steak. He probably got it from like Cisco. Get the big wholesale steaks. Next post. Yeah, it's funny. Bernie Sanders and Liz Cheney are both outraged at the way Zelensky was treated. So it just shows the Uniparty in the States is still trying to survive. The Uniparty blob in the States trying to survive Donald Trump. Next post. Oh my God. Keir Starmer greets Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, for 6 more days as he arrives at Prime Minister for 6 more days as he arrives at summit. Like, why is he even going to a summit if he's going to be Prime Minister only for 6 more days? And these, look at this guy. Look at these two. These guys are going to save us.
Let's just show our viewers these images. The Canadians, of course, are here alongside European leaders, and Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau would know all too well.
These two wankers are going to save us? I don't think so. I do not think so. I think they're going to get us all killed. And there's Trudeau again. Okay, we already saw this. He can stay there in London. So basically there's more people getting abducted. Oh, the guy's walking his dog. Holy shit. That's what we want to support in Canada? I don't think so. That's what Trudeau supports. Look at that. Poor guy was walking his dog. They're going to take... What are they going to do to the dog? So this was like 2 days ago. Or yesterday. No, 2 days ago. Wow. Poor dog's like... He's just crying like a little... He is crying a little... The crying is a little... I don't think he's going to make the best soldier, let's just say that much. Shrieking, really. Like a woman. He really doesn't want to go to fight Russia. I have a feeling. How long is this? Wow. He was just walking his dog, and now he's going to be blown up by Russian artillery. That's disgraceful. As a Canadian taxpayer, do not support this at all. At all. At all. And then we have her, this witch.
Presidency that Europeans should do more.
Pushing for the war.
That we Europeans should do more for our own defense, should spend more on our own.
Nobody elected her.
That has been replaced by almost a dislike of Europe and clearly in particular of Ukraine and asking countries to do more for their own defense is very different from.
All right. Revolting. These globalist puppets do not represent the will of the people, not even close. I don't know. Look at these guys. All right. Next post. Ukrainian roulette. 15,000 to try to escape Ukraine, but if you get caught, you go to the front and you get a 50-50 chance.
Be alive and to make money for. So we all know what Russian roulette is. But have you ever heard about Ukrainian roulette? No? So listen to me carefully, dear friends. Ukrainian roulette, it's when male of a war age decide to escape the country so he can actually be alive and make money for his family. And for that, he need to pay at least $15,000 at the moment to neither make some fake documents or get a group of disability or just go with somebody through the forest in Romania. Like, one of those things which not really 100% can be working though. And the odds, I think the odds is sort of 50-50. So half of people making it and half of people get caught by a borderman of Ukraine, and guess what? If you got caught, they send you to a front line almost immediately. Like, they send you to a center where they're supposed to teach you for 3 months. You may spend in a center week, just so they show you how to automat
Meat
works.
for the grinder.
And, like, you're welcome to war. And yes, so we have a 50% of the people who got drafted without their permission, their own permission, and yeah, guess how much of them would be survive on the first week on a battle?
So yeah, assuming that's like an actual Ukrainian, but I mean, there have been multiple stories of people running through the forest to try to get to Romania. So I mean, it's not out of the question. It's not really far-fetched. And there's more Times Square people pushing for more war. Really, when you consider the whole states, it's not that. Ed Krasenstein. Oh. So the 2000 Greenwald. So Ed Krasenstein, he's healthy. He's in shape. Him and his brother, they should go fight. They could get into those tunnels. They're small. They can get into the tunnels and dug in there and find the Russian tunnels. So anyway, I don't see them volunteering. But Glenn Greenwald responded to their warmongering. He said, 2024 election. One candidate vowed to indefinitely fund war in Ukraine. Her name was Kamala. She lost. The other, Trump, vowed to stop U.S. funding and end the war. He won. A few Manhattan liberals idiotically wrapping themselves in a foreign flag doesn't change that. Yes. And there's more here. I said Ed, his brother, and all these losers should volunteer for the Ukrainian International Legion and go fight some Russians. That's the theme today. A lot of people have been saying that. And I said today, the Ukraine war, it makes clear it's like a new ideological war. So instead of communism versus capitalism, like we saw during the Cold War, it's globalists versus nationalists. And for the last 80 years, globalists have been making anything remotely resembling nationalism like the next Nazi regime, basically. And now it makes a lot of sense because maybe they knew, the globalists who were setting up shop after World War II, maybe they knew the nationalists were going to be an opponent of theirs at some point. So they had to, anything nationalist was a dirty word. If you were called a nationalist, that was the worst thing you could be called. Okay, next post. There's Max Bernier. Speaking of politicians going on American shows, Bernier's been going on a few American podcasts, which is, I mean, it's good, because unfortunately Bernier is more justified to do it because the Canadian press and the Canadian pollsters actually work actively, and the debate commission, they work actively. Trust me, if PPC was in the national debates and he did well, it would bump him in the polls a little bit at least. But they're not even given that opportunity. So he doesn't really have a choice. Like, if he can get on American podcasts that have any decent audiences, he should do it because he's being shut out here in Canada. Whereas Chrystia Freeland and Mark Carney are on Canadian media nonstop, yet they still go on the U.S. So it's more, I think it's a narcissistic thing. Max is doing it out of necessity because none of the you won't see Max Bernier on any of the Canadian news networks. None. Maybe on the odd podcast, and that's it. Next post. Canada has never had a prime minister that is more deserving of prison time than Justin Trudeau. Yes, Chris Erickson, I agree. What's he saying?
Canadians to get vaccinated, and therefore, while not forcing anyone to get vaccinated, I chose to make sure that all the incentives and all the protections were there to encourage Canadians to get vaccinated.
Yeah, I remember that. So now he did the COVID scam, now he's doing the Ukraine, and then he's going to get us destroyed by tariffs. Man, immigration, oh, we haven't even talked about that. So much to talk about. And this thing, the Somali Center in Toronto, $20 million of Canadian government money. And they're going to do it's basically going to be an immigrant reception center. Like anybody new from Somalia is going to go there and get set up for any whatever service they need. Like, why would we promote this? I said, our government is funding third world ethnic enclaves in Toronto, within a city. Sounds like a great strategy for Canada. It's not. It's a horrible strategy. There's Ian Bremmer again, next post. Globalist warmonger tears continue to flow. So, when Iraq invaded Kuwait illegally, the Americans stood up, slapped down Saddam Hussein in the name of territorial integrity, and that wasn't even a democracy. That is not where the Americans are today. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they went to war against Iraq for the oil. It's really all about the oil. And to compare Iraq, the first Iraq war with this war is whatever. These guys are getting desperate. You know when the globalists are desperate is when they start bringing up other wars. The World War II, Iraq War, Vietnam, whatever. When they start bringing up other wars, you know they can't win any arguments on Ukraine because they bring up all these. He brings up World War II in another post too. Next post. The architect. Okay. Canadian Liberals who want the war to keep going instead of finding a way to end it need to suit up and ship out. So that's been a common theme today. Go. And there's Ian Bremmer's been tweeting like crazy today because he's distraught. He's distraught, sitting at home with his dog, and he's so sad that Trump's trying to end the war. And this he's telling a World War II reference. Here I am talking about other wars. If Roosevelt had told Churchill to sue for peace on any terms with Adolf Hitler, oh my God, fork over Britain's coal reserves. Anyway, it's all BS. Just remember, when they bring up other wars, that means they have no argument. Because every war is different, I don't care. There's Randy Hillier. He kind of echoed my thoughts here. Where we kind of are today. And we'll see where it goes. Tuesday's speech, Donald Trump at joint session of Congress, should be very, very interesting. He likes to get ratings, I guess. He'll get them. The whole world is his audience, I guess. He loves it. He turned the whole thing into a big reality show. He literally turned the presidency into a big reality show. Now we're waiting Tuesday to see how what he's gonna do and what crazy shit he's gonna say. He really is a genius, a mad genius, but a genius nonetheless. So let's close it out with Randy Hillier. The globalists are gathering in London now that Trump has withdrawn America from their predatory alliance. They must find the ways and means to keep the Ukraine war going while also derailing Trump's astonishing success and speed at dismantling the American deep state and rebuilding ties with Putin. He's gone very quick on that with Putin, at least. Normalization, it's huge. Canada's political class, this is where Canada's concern is, it's pissing me off, is Canada's political class and their continued embrace of globalism is the greatest political class, not people. Continued embrace of globalism is the greatest threat to sovereignty, not Trump. However, we can be certain America will not permit an antagonistic or hostile Canada on its border. Yeah. Yeah, it's geopolitics 101. It's better to get along with the states until there's no other option. You know, it's just common sense. And here's the definitely a racket, Elon Musk. Anti-war Elon Musk. And to be fair, he has been anti-war on this one at least, since pretty well the beginning. Especially like the nuclear war possibilities. He's highlighted. So that's it. War is a racket. So if you feel like they're making good arguments for the war, just remember, war is a racket. All right. So we'll see you guys Wednesday night to go over what crazy stuff goes down. And so until then, have a great Sunday night.